Hello, this is Michael again from Divorce Rehab, talking to my divorce rehab family. And today, if you've never watched this channel, Divorce Rehab means to divorce yourself from the world and rehab yourself through the Word of God. Today, I decided I was going to go ahead and take a little bit of a ride up into the mountains to a waterfall in North Carolina, and I live about an hour away from it, and I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera around. There we go. That way you can see where I'm going, because I want to share this place with you. And here's my beautiful girlfriend. I've had her now for about 2 years, and she's 20 years young, full of life. She never ever complains, full of excitement, and when she gets out of line, I take her to the mechanic shop and get her worked on. But anyway, I've decided, I'm not going to go that way. I decided to go ahead and tell you guys a story. Today I spent some time reading the scriptures, and I decided to go to the book of Hosea. And for those of you unfamiliar with the Bible or unfamiliar with that story, I'm going to tell you a little portion of it. And this is why the title of my video is called, "Did God Call You to Marry a Or?" Now, I say "or" because I don't want my video to be muted or deleted by YouTube by using the actual words. So there's going to be some different things that I say that are going to be slightly different than the actual words that us common folk would typically use when it comes to describing somebody or something. So if you look up the word or W-H-O-R-E, you'll find that it has to do with a woman having multiple partners, and in many ways many partners for the purpose of income or making money. Well, I hate to admit it, but doesn't that sound like it describes the modern woman of today? And unfortunately, that's the way many of these women are. And here we go. Here's this beautiful little waterfall. It's not big, but it is beautiful. The water is just about as clear as it can get. I wouldn't even be afraid to drink this water. It's so clean and pristine and clear, and the waterfall continues to go on down a little ways further. But anyway, my goodness, I think I'm going to go ahead and set up camera here. Give me just a second while I set up the camera. But anyway, as I think about today's typical Western woman, that unfortunately is the way a lot of these women are today. They want a man that has 6 figures, 6-inch love organ, 6-pack, 6 foot tall, and I might add that okay, so 6 foot tall, 6-inch love organ, 6-pack, and 6 figures. So that's really 4 items that women want these days. They aren't even satisfied with just 3 of those 4 items. a lot of them. And so my question to you men, are you willing to settle for a woman like that? Well, in the book of Hosea, his wife was basically an whore. This is what God called him to marry. So my question to you is, did God call you to marry an whore? And the question you have to ask yourself is, are you ready and willing to deal with the drama that comes with marrying such an individual? And when you go to chapter 1, verse 2 and 3, it basically gives you a description of God telling him to marry this woman, and he goes and marries her, and apparently they start having kids right away. But imagine Hosea being a prophet. Imagine the way that he was raised, the kind of person he was, a godly man that had a reputation, a respectable person. We don't know that he was rich. It doesn't talk about it in the scripture. Usually if somebody's rich, it will say something to that effect. And we don't, for all intents and purposes, know that his wife was particularly beautiful. Whenever a beautiful woman is spoken of in the Bible, it talks about their beauty. So I kind of get the idea that she was probably just an average individual, and Hosea was kind of an average person. As far as income, he may have even been poor. We don't really know. But in Jewish culture, typically if a man went to go pick up a woman or whatever, he would have to give a certain dowry for the woman in exchange for that woman because of the income that she was bringing into the household. And being a whore, she probably was bringing in a decent amount of income. Didn't matter if she was beautiful or not. All she had to do was meet the man's physical needs at that point, and boom, the transaction would take place. And there you go. So I'm almost positive, based on Jewish culture, he probably had to give a considerable amount of funds in order to receive her as a wife. And I can only imagine what he experienced and what he was going through in the process of picking up such a woman. And it's hard to say whether or not she accepted him or not, but all we know is that they started to have kids right away. And God would tell him what to name the kids. And honestly, it's the man's responsibility, biblically speaking, to come up with the names for the kids. You can find that all throughout biblical history. And if it was a godly man with a godly relationship, it was usually God coming up with the names. And but that's not as important as what to expect by marrying such a woman. Now, God had a plan for Hosea to marry this woman, and it had to do with him using Hosea and his marriage as an example of what God himself goes through when it comes to the people of Israel and the boredom that they live out and express in their own lives, choosing other gods and materialism and such things over God himself. And that was why God chose for Hosea to get married to this woman. So you'll have to excuse a little bit of action in the background. But that was, in the end, that was what ended up happening. And so, as a result of this, they ended up getting married. And if you read the story, I encourage you to read the story, because you'll find out just exactly what Hosea went through as he ended up marrying this woman. And, you know, it's kind of sad, but, you know, they end up having kids right away. Long story short, she ends up leaving him at home with the kids. So she was a real typical modern woman. And he goes and gets her and brings her back. And he continues to show her the love and the compassion that a godly man like him showed her. And eventually, she ends up staying with him. And something tells me that she was most likely materialistic, and the type of lifestyle that she was living was producing the kind of income and lifestyle that she was looking for, and the excitement, you know, of living in the city and living a city life and whatnot, and, you know, having all of the attention that she was getting as a result of all of these men that she knew in the community. But you know, that was a lifestyle that she was used to, and, you know, she was born into that lifestyle, and her mother apparently was born as a whore. So when I look at my own life and what I experienced and what I went through, I can see that my experience was very similar. The only difference is that God didn't tell me to marry this woman that I married. And I'm not speaking, you know, I'm not trying to speak negatively or poorly of my ex in that sense, because I do love my ex, but the question is, would I take her back? And the answer to that question is no, absolutely not. And for a number of different reasons. Number one, God didn't call me to marry her. And when I say that unequivocally, that He didn't ask me to marry her. The proof in that is, after being married to my ex for a decade, I'm standing in the shower, and as I'm standing in there, I'm praying to God, and I've just, at this point, I've had it up to here with this woman. But because I don't believe in divorce, I'm crying out to God, and I'm like, God, I can't do this anymore. I can't take this. You're going to have to show me what it is I need to do and how I'm supposed to live and deal with this woman for the rest of my life, because I don't know. And he eventually got tired of hearing that prayer and me complaining, and while I was in the shower, he said, I didn't ask you to marry her. She was not part of the plan. And that was all he said, in absolute frustration. Over the following years, as I would think about my marriage and how it happened and how it became what it became, I began to realize that I married this woman in fear. At the time, I was 31, single, had never had a serious girlfriend except for one time, and that only lasted for about 2.5 months. That's a whole nother story. But for the most part, I, was a homebody. I stayed at home. I didn't hang out with women. I didn't go to bars. Unfortunately, I didn't understand that Ephenism was playing its part in the church and outside of the church, and that the four threes, whatever you want to call them, six figure, 3-inch long love organ, 6-pack. I didn't realize that was playing a part in women back then, and this was before there were that many channels coming on YouTube informing men of the modern day woman. So I had no idea, and honestly, I just wasn't a ladies' man. But not sure where I want to go with this, but anyway, so I'm going to synagogue at the time. I had finally bought my first house, and it was a flip house, a renovation, a condemned house actually, that I was remodeling. And I had decided that I was going to go ahead and get into flipping homes on the side while being a brick mason at the same time. And at 31 years old, I hate to say it, but fathers of today play a huge part in Ephenism. And what I mean by that is, fathers today and back then, they think that they're protecting their wives and their mothers. They think that they're protecting their daughters by telling them, don't get married to a man unless he's 6 foot tall. Well, they don't usually signify the 6 foot tall or the 6-inch love organ or the other things that women look for today. But they definitely want the man to have a 6-figure income. And unfortunately, in today's society, that 6-figure income falls in the 1 to less than 2% category of most men. And when you've got the father and the mother whispering in the ear of their daughter, don't marry this man because he doesn't have any status, he's not well educated, or he doesn't make a 6-figure income, then, I mean, the women, for all intents and purposes, in many ways are screwed, because not only are they dealing with Ephenism in the schools, but they're dealing with it also in the household. And so, I hate to say it, but in many ways, as a woman is growing up, she's effed. She's effed. Whether it be by her parents or whether it be by the school system or society. I hate to say it, but probably the best woman to find is a woman that's somewhere on a farm out west or in the country who is working hard around the house or working out in the field and living a normal life, fighting to try and take care of the family, and she's solid. They say that you know a woman by her politics, her religion, and the way she treats her family. And unfortunately, these were things that I didn't pay attention to. I mean, I thought that because my ex was going to synagogue and she seemed to have an interest in God, and she seemed to, for the most part, take care of helping her family out in some ways, but I didn't pay attention to her political stance and beliefs. So that's where I went wrong. And I didn't pay attention to her conservative views. But not only that, I didn't pay attention enough to her past history. And what I mean by that was she was married at least and divorced 4 times before I married her. But I tried to accept her and forgive her for the 4 marriages And being that she decided to become a Messianic Jew and supposedly turn over a new leaf, she got baptized. And if you know anything about baptism, that's a public acknowledgement of giving yourself to God and turning over a new leaf. And I took that from a literal perspective. The problem with that is she had so much baggage that when she got dunked under the water and came back up, she came back up with that new baggage. And the truth is that she needed counseling, she needed help, and that she was dealing with bigger issues than I was aware of, and I didn't understand or comprehend how much damage she had accumulated over the years and how that would affect my marriage in the future. And even though we managed to make it work for 16 years, there's the old saying, oh, well, it takes two to tango. And to some degree, yes, I brought my own baggage into the marriage, but not anything like what she had. I'd never been married before, but you know, my upbringing as a child, my mother, unfortunately, you know, was very much exactly like my ex. So there's the old saying, you end up marrying your mother, and unfortunately, that's what I did. Now, I'm not saying that marrying such a woman can't make, you know, that it can't work. It can work. But it is a really rare situation. All I can say is if you do end up getting married to such a woman, make sure that it's God that's telling you to do it. And get to know her a little bit better. Talk about these issues. If need be, get counseling. But I can honestly say I would not recommend it. And so this video is for the guy that is contemplating because he's scared, lonely, divorced, and wants a relationship with a woman. This video is for that man. I have now been separated and divorced now from this woman for about 3 years or so, give or take a few months, and it's still hell. Actually, technically, we've only been separated for a year, or I mean for 3 years. Here in the state of South Carolina, you have to be divorced, or not divorced, but separated for a year before you can even get a divorce. And so we've gone way past that. This coming week, I plan on, well, I have to go to the court and finalize the separation or the divorce. But even signing it, we will have technically been separated from each other for 3 years. And this woman is using the judicial system in her favor to sue me, to take me for everything she can. And I'm going to tell you, brothers, I make $26 an hour. You know, I'm not making it big. I don't have a whole bunch of assets that she can take, but she's working the system, and she's going to take me for everything and continue to take me for everything she can get until my daughter turns 18, which will be in April, roughly 9 months from now. But then I have to continue paying child support after she turns 18, because it's until she graduates high school. But then even after that, because of my tax situation in the divorce of getting separated, we owe back taxes. And I unfortunately accepted the responsibility of taking care of that. And that's a whole nother story. I'll share that with you guys later, of what I'm having to deal with where that's concerned. And that's just a whole nother big mess. So anyway, um, so the true fact of the matter is, brothers, I just want you to be encouraged. No matter how bad it is, you can make it. You can survive, but you got to do it. You got to put God in the center of your life in order to make it happen. If you've already gone through a similar situation as I have. As the scripture says, lay your burdens before the Lord. And that's what I do. And sometimes it just doesn't ever seem like it's ever going to end, but it will end. And we all will face judgment, which is unfortunate for some of us, but that's why I say continue to pursue the Lord, pursue your relationship with Him, and focus on doing what He wants you to do. Learn from your mistakes like I'm learning. Whatever you do, do not hold any angst or bitterness or anger toward your ex, because that will send you straight to hell. Don't hold any bitterness toward your mother for turning out the way you turned out, your father for not being there when he should have been. You know, you just gotta let it go. Let it go. And I find that the best and easiest source of healing is to forgive. To forgive, stay strong in your relationship with God, and find people that you can talk to, that you can be around, and be restored. And for me, one of those individuals happens to be this Filipino girl that I met on a dating site. I love her very much. I don't know that we'll ever get married or how that will ever work out. I don't feel or sense God telling me to marry her or to pursue her. But we do love each other, and we do share some very personal things about our lives with each other. And I can honestly say that if she was here in this country, I would definitely pursue her as an option for marriage. But at the same time, I'm to the point now in my life where I'm almost terrified to pick a wife to marry, just because of what I've been through in the past. And as much as I might love this Filipino girl, and we enjoy each other's company over WhatsApp and just talking, I'm terrified to pursue a relationship with just any old woman out there. So I would recommend that you build your relationship with God in a very deep way, and that when that time comes for you to truly get married to a woman, that it be a woman of God, and that it be the woman that God has chosen for you. Be careful. Just because she goes to church and she puts on that church face and she knows how to charm you with her smile, be careful. She might not be the woman that you think. She may not be the woman God is choosing for you to get married to. I know, because I've been through it. I thought that this woman, even though God didn't choose her, I thought that we could make it work. And while I wasn't in love with her in the sense that I had the butterflies, I wasn't hugely attracted to her. In fact, she was definitely not the kind of woman that I typically would have chosen as far as beauty goes. And that's important, you know, to not only she be a woman of God and that she be the woman that God chooses for you, but you should choose a woman that you have some attraction to. And unfortunately, you know, I've worked out off and on all my life, and I've worked around physically attractive, athletic women, and I know what I want, and this woman was not that. But I thought that I could love her, and I did love her, and I still do love her to this day. I just, you know, as far as the butterflies in the stomach, it just was never there, and I felt like loving a woman for who she is, and being true as far as love, and taking it beyond
physical beauty was more important than being attracted to the woman. And but this time now, the woman that I'm very interested in and attracted to, she's on a scale from 1 to 10. She's a 7. She is hot. She is beautiful, but I'm not allowing her physical beauty to cloud my judgment of her as a person, for who she is as a person. And truthfully, I've never held this girl's hand. We've never kissed. We've never physically seen each other face to face. And so the question is, how much in love with her can I possibly be? How well can I really get to know her through WhatsApp? So I have to be very careful. But not only for myself, I have to be careful with the fact that I'm dealing with another human being, dealing with her feelings, with her spirit, and who she is. So I'm trying to be very sensitive to her needs as well. So anyway, brothers, just be encouraged and be very careful. And I just hope that this video will give you some guidance and be a resource of encouragement to you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this video with one more beautiful sight and scene. I'm going to turn the camera around so that you can see that this, in fact, is a beautiful place. And I would encourage you to find a hobby, whether it be hiking, whether it be getting a motorcycle and coming out to a place like this to look around. And you know, for those of you guys that are considering the possibility of getting a motorcycle, it doesn't have to be brand new. You can go on Facebook and find a used motorcycle, and like I did, I paid $6 grand for mine straight out of Facebook, and you don't even have to pay that much. There's great motorcycles out there that you can find that will be a great source of free or cheap transportation. It's a good second source of transportation if your car is broke down and you need to get it worked on, or your truck. You can find groups on Facebook to ride with. I don't do that. I'm pretty much a loner and ride by myself. But you know, there are groups that you can hang out with. Find out what kind of motorcycle you want to get, what kind of riding you would like to do your research. And you know, there's many things you can do with a motorcycle. You can go camping, sightseeing. My bike kind of does a little bit of everything. I can go on dirt roads with it, and a little bit of really rough dirt roads, service roads, logging roads. And she performs very well in the twisties. And that was the kind of riding I did today, was the twisties. So anyway, find a hobby, but most importantly, find God. Find your happiness in Him. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close this video out, and I will see you guys later. God bless you. Shalom.